Howdy, Space Rangers, Captain Phoenix here. Before the review starts, I just want to let you know quickly that because this movie ultimately is a Paramount Nickelodeon movie, I'm using someone else's footage. This video footage you see here belongs to a channel called Wicked Binge. I'll leave the link to his original video in the description below. Go check his channel out. All that fun stuff. Just know that I'm only stealing this because I can't risk using my own footage because Paramount really is very strict on their copyright rules. Alright, with that nonsense out of the way, hello guys. Today we're reviewing Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. As you saw from the brief introduction, I was supposed to do a pixel list, but things got bad. So you guys are gonna get this instead. I wanted to put a video out anyway, so here you go. So this movie is the newest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie to come out based on the newest series. They also came out, I think, in 2018 and ended last year, if I'm not wrong. I never finished the series. I did watch the first couple episodes of the season, but I never ended up finishing the series. And from what I've heard, it's a pretty awesome ending with some of the best animation to date. I just have not been able to find it anywhere. So I will try my best, but forgive me for that. But this movie is based on that series, taking place right after the series ends, as far as I could tell. And this movie is supposed to be a big finale to the show. As mentioned, I only saw bits and pieces of the show. I never got to see the full thing, but I can confidently say that even if you haven't watched the show, you can follow this movie easily. This movie is able to bring in both new fans while also being a letter to the old fans. And let me just say, for 2022, a year that has been so lackluster in movies and shows, nothing has got me really in love with it or fully involved. It feels so good to finally have a movie I love. Yes, guys, letting you know right off the bat, I love this movie so much. I'm not gonna say I'm an uber turtle fan. I know there are like 4 shows out there. I've only seen one in its completion, that being the 2012 show, one of my favorite shows of all time. I've seen the movies, the Michael Bay movies, and I've seen a bit of the 2018 show. So I would what you'd call a casual fan. So when I heard this movie was coming out, I did not expect anything big of it, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go see it, and I'll enjoy it or whatever. This movie comes out, and oh my god, I am so upset I didn't make a review last week. I am so sorry, guys. This movie is just whole new levels of incredible. Where the hell do I even start? Let's start with the animation. Like, my god, the animation in this movie is just top tier. Apparently some other studios helping to animate this show, not just Nickelodeon. I mean, this movie, not just Nickelodeon. And let me tell you, they're just flexing on you. The action is just so insane and creative, and the combos. This movie made me love combos. And I'm not really a big combo guy. Like, if I have a superhero team, I'll enjoy a combo move. But like, I just see, characters using their powers on a villain or a team of villains. But here, this movie legit made me love combos. I actually want to see more superhero or action hero team ups, just bouncing off each other, flinging the bad guy around using their powers. It's so good. The colors are just all over the place. The movie is so flashy, and I feel bad for anyone who hates colors because this movie just goes all the way. Even that final battle is so sick. We have like the turtles teaming up to do an ultimate combo, and the villains just like flick. It's so good, guys. The animation in this movie is just off the charts. 10 out of 10 on the animation alone. Like, they just put their all into this 100%. They're like, we're going 100, we're going big or going home. This movie goes hard, guys. And normally I would say this movie goes hard for no reason, but given the lackluster year we had, this movie has all the reason to go as hard as it did. And then we have the story itself. The story is your basic alien invasion story. This time, the Krang are trying to take over New York City. The Krang are traditional Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles villain. We've seen them in many other shows before. In this instance, they're so amazing. Like, I'm just gonna like kind of skip to the characters even a bit, just kind of ignoring the story real quick. But like, the Krang are such good villains in this movie. They actually pose a real threat. When I was watching this, I'm like, god damn, these guys are strong. Like, normally if you're a Turtles fan, you know that the Krang in their weakest form, they're just normal brains, right? They're normal brain aliens. Here, even when they're normal brain aliens, they are so freaking strong. Like, one Krang just takes out all the turtles. He like takes away their powers and just whoops them all. And mind you, there are like three of them. Only three main Krang in this movie. Like, as I mentioned, I watched the 2012 show. In the 2012 show, it was like an entire planet of Krang. In this movie, only three of them. And they just whoop our heroes like no one's business. And mind you, that's without their robotic suits. They finally get the robotic suits in like the climax, and they still whoop our heroes. And that's the funny thing, because this movie does something I'm not really, a lot of like other big movies or sequels do, in that they nerf the heroes. Usually after the end of a movie or show, we always have our heroes like in their most powerful form, right? They always like have these super special powers. They've unlocked their true potential and all that stuff. Meaning that if a follow-up movie or series was to take place, more often than not, the hero always gets nerfed. And that's what happened in this movie. The Turtles got nerfed. But here's the thing. They got nerfed in like the most creative way possible. Because yes, they get nerfed at the beginning of the movie and they don't get their powers back until the climax. But even then, you can see that even when they have their powers, they still can't beat the villains. And you're like, and normally when a hero gets nerfed, you're like, oh, if they had their powers, they would solo the villain. Now I see why the writers nerfed them. But in this case, the writers nerfed them, but you could even tell that even when they had their powers, when they're OP, they still could not beat the villains. Meaning, powers or not, they were struggling to survive by the skin of their teeth. Which means when they get their powers back at the end of the film, not only does it feel cool seeing them back at their top form again, but it shows that even when they're at their top form, they still have to struggle beating the villain. So I really love how powerful they show the Krang to be. And that's why they don't need a whole army of them. Just three of them is enough to raise the stakes of this movie. And again, even when the Turtles get their powers back, it's still a struggle to take on the villain. As I said, the Turtles do like this super sick combo move on one of the Krang, and they like use their abilities on him. He just deflects that ability with a flick of his fingers. He just goes ding, deflects the super epic combo, super powerful, super jarring combo move. It was beautiful. The Krang in this movie were done so well. I love their voices. Even when I heard them in the trailer, I was like, oh, I'm not in love with these voices. I'm gonna hate them throughout the movie. No, I love it. It's not like the 80s Krang where it's like, oh, get those turtles, or it's like the 2012 Krang of we must destroy the turtles to destroy the turtles. It's not over the top or cartoony. By the way, I love there's a little Easter egg in this movie at the end of the film when they go to fight the main Krang villain. And you could see on his throne, it's a Triceratops skull. First of all, that must have been a big Triceratops because that's a humongous throne. Second of all, if you remember the Triceratops from like the 2012 show and you see how strong they were, especially in comparison to the Krang, and you see this guy just sitting in one of their skulls and you're like, God damn, he even took down that guy? Now imagine if they like fought an entire race of them. This kind of even just makes me want them to make a sequel where we just get to see the turtles versus the Krang versus the Triceratops. I would pay good money for that. They feel like legit threats in this movie, and I love them. The Krang was simply my favorite part of the movie. Hell, there's this part at the end I absolutely love so much where we have Leonardo versus like the main Krang guy, and you know the Krang, they're like the alien brains in the suit, and they're like their brains are like in the stomach of the suit. There's this shot in the movie where we get to see a Krang looking at Leonardo menacingly, and like his brain is in the stomach of the robot, and like one eye is showing, and then like we get to see his the other eye in the robot showing, and it's shot and angled in such a way it's so beautiful. Guys, this movie looks so good. Legit, every frame could be a screenshot or a screensaver. This movie just goes off the charts with how good it looks and how great the action and the villains are. Look at this. You can't tell me this doesn't look amazing. And then again, back to the story. This story flows so well. It has such a nice flow to it. This story is fast paced. Mind you, it's not rushed. It's fast paced. There's a difference, and I love how fast paced this movie goes. We start at the beginning with like with the Krang taking over the Earth, and then we come back to the past. So that Casey has to stop the Krang from taking over, and then he meets the turtles, and then the turtles find out about the Krang and the key and the portal, and then they fight the Krang, and then they lose to the Krang, and now they have to escape from the Krang, or now they have to go save Raph while also outrunning the Krang. But then the Krang beat them, and then they bring the Technodrome, and then they destroy the city. This movie flows so well, and it's written in such a way that it's just so organic. First of all, let me just not even lie, the writing of this movie is like, I would say the writing of this movie is the weakest part of this movie, but even then it's still like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. That's how good the writing is. It's like the weakest part, but it's still goddamn good. The only reason I say the writing is weak is because this movie does suffer a lot of tropes that other cartoon movies do, especially if they are finale to a show. It does suffer a lot of the tropes from that. I already talked about nerfing the heroes, and it also has to because it's a movie, it has to do the job of introducing a new audience who hasn't seen the show to the movie. So it does feel like it slows down a bit at parts, and they have to over explain things. Like we have Leo's arc. In this movie, Leo has to learn how to be a leader, and they over explain that like 4 times. And me being a Turtles fan, I already know Leo has to be a leader. He has to go through that arc, and I understand people who who aren't Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fans, they don't know what Leo has to go through. So they have to get introduced. But they do keep repeating it a lot. And again, it's not really this film's fault. It's just a set of circumstances. Because it's the finale to the show, so many people who are coming into this movie will not have seen the show. So I get it kind of has to relate to the audience that way. It's just kind of a sad thing. But on the bright side with the writing, again, I feel like each character was written properly. And mind you, this movie has no room for I do talk about like the cliches a TV movie falls into, but it has no rooms for anything else. It has no room for third act breakups or misunderstandings. There's no misunderstanding in this movie, and if there is, it gets wrapped up in like 2 minutes. If it has no third act breakup, like legit, the second act ends with the heroes losing and then immediately thinking of how to stop the villains. They don't blame Leo for being a bad leader, and then they all go to sulk and slouch in the corner, wondering, oh no, I'm sad you hurt my feelings. Now I don't want to continue in the journey anymore. No, when they lose, they're like, okay, crap, we've lost. How the hell do we recover from this? How the hell do we salvage this mission? It just keeps going and going and going. Hell, there's even this scene with Leo and Casey early on in the film, mind you, not even like towards the third act breakup, but early in the film where Leo does something very dumb. And Casey tells him, yo, man, that wasn't cool. You're not the Leo I knew from the future. Can you, like, man up and actually be a leader? And Leo, he has a chance to be a leader, but he can't really implement that because the film is moving so fast up until the third act where, again, the heroes lose, and then he's finally able to come to terms with it because now he finally has a moment to breathe. And it's written so well, you just go with it. Can I also just say that for the story, I kind of didn't even know where it was gonna go. And as someone who's made it his life's mission to analyze every movie and show as best as he can, the fact that I didn't know where the story was gonna go in 2022, that's impressive. Because like the movie starts with with Casey traveling back in time to stop the Crane invasion. So I'm like, okay, time travel is gonna be a bigger part of this movie. And they hint to it like at least twice more in the film with Mikey saying, I can use my mystic powers. And I'm like, oh, okay. So they're gonna probably time travel. Because the story also says that way back when the Crane were defeated by these super warriors, these super mystic warriors. And I'm like, how funny would it be if those mystic warriors were the turtles themselves? And I say this because even in 2012 show, the turtles do time travel, even to like medieval Japan. So I'm like, they gotta do the time travel thing here, aren't they? And so when the Crane finally win in the second act, I'm like, okay, so at this point in time, Mikey's gonna unlock his power, the turtles are gonna go back in time to medieval Japan, and they're gonna trap the Crane, and it's gonna be this time loop. They were always destined to fight the Crane and trap them. But that never happens. They never end up going back in time. Like, they go to fight the Crane, and they stop them in their timeline, and I guess they create an alternate timeline that way because the Crane was supposed to take over the future, but in this case they didn't. So they stop the Crane, they create an alternate timeline, and then Leo gets trapped. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's sad. Then I see Mikey creating a portal. I'm like, oh, okay, now they're gonna go travel back in time. They're gonna go save Leo, like by traveling back in time or medieval Japan. No, just pull him out of the pocket dimension. I'm like, okay. I thought of like 5 different things in this scenario, but you guys completely blindsided me. But I will say, with time travel being an aspect in this film, especially one introduced like at the very beginning of the movie, I will say this movie handles it way better than the Troll Hunters movie. And yes, I'm just gonna say it. This movie is infinitely better than the Troll Hunters movie. Not only does it actually treat its characters and story with care, but it actually bothers to act like a finale and ends in a satisfying matter. Troll Hunters, we don't get some nonsense time travel where we erase everything down to the first episode. Take some notes, Troll Hunters! Yeah, but no, this movie's cool. It's a literal definition of cool. I just can't express how much I love this movie so much. And you know what? When I finished this movie, I came out of it wanting more. I actually wanted more of this movie. And I honestly feel like there is a bit more of this movie that was supposed to be in here, but it wasn't. Like, you could tell, or at least I could tell watching this movie, there were some scenes that looked like they were cut for time or for budget or something. Like the beginning. The beginning of the movie starts in 2044, 20 years in the future when the Krang have, like, taken over the Earth. And we already know that all the other turtles are dead. Only Mikey and Leo are left. And I feel like the movie kind of wanted to show us how Raph and Donnie died, but it just didn't have time to do so. Or in this movie, we have Casey, who keeps calling April Commander O'Neill, suggesting that in the future she's like this commander lady who's like helping lead the charge against the Krang. And I feel like they wanted to show us April in that position, but we just didn't have the time to. Not just that, but also the ending. The movie just kind of ends. After they defeat the Krang, they eat pizza, and then that's it. It just kind of ends. There's no big hurrah to it. It's just Raph putting pizza boxes on his head, and then the movie just kind of ends. Not that the ending is bad though, but it does feel a bit abrupt. Like something was supposed to be there, but they had to cut it out because of some other restrictions. And I'm like, just give us the uncut version, man. Give me like the 3-4 hour version of this movie. I just want to see more. And again, seeing this movie made me actually want to go back and revisit the 2018 series, especially with the ending people say, because apparently the ending is so good, so big, so bombastic, so much, so full of like animation and action that I would love it. This movie, and I would say the series to an extent, falls into exactly what I love: animation and action, just colorful balls to the wall animation and action, just people expressing things they love and their talent. Because that's one thing I will say about this movie. This movie feels like it was made by people who have a passion not just for animation, not just for action, but even for the source material they're playing. Like, this feels like it was made by Turtles fans. And again, if you can just feel the passion coming out of the screen. I want to work with these people. I want to be in the writers room, the animators room. I want to see them do all these crazy things. I want to be involved with them. I want to make the story with them. You actually have such a deep connection with this movie, and I love it so much. I cannot, guys. And it annoys me so much. It annoys me that this movie is as good as it is. Because if you're telling me the best movie from 2022 comes from Netflix of all places, I don't even know what to say to you anymore. I just remembered I didn't even talk that much about the characters. I talked about the Krang and how effective of being villains they are, but I didn't talk about the Turtles. The Turtles are also great in this movie. Leo now has to learn to be a leader, because apparently in the series, Raph is the leader, which was something that definitely turned me off when I was watching the series. I'm like, why is Raph the leader? And Leo isn't. Leo like is taking Mikey's position as being the jokester, laid back kind of guy, which was weird. But in this movie, they do kind of pay it off in a way by giving the leadership role to Leo, and so it's like him and Raph are kind of sharing being leaders, and they do this in a way that they kind of take Raph out of commission for the whole movie, and then he comes back, he's under mind control, so Leo has to fight him. So we do get to see how good of a leader Leo is in this movie, and how he has to grow to fit into that position. And by the end of the movie, we do see him become the leader he was meant to be. And of course we have the other turtles. Raph, as I mentioned, in this movie he's kind of out of commission. He really doesn't have much of a character outside of being the protective older brother, which was Leo's character in the other shows and movies. But of course, because we couldn't have two characters like that, they just kind of had him out of commission. Donnie and Mikey are just fun. Donnie, he's, again, we all know Donnie. He's the tech whiz turtle. Except in this movie, he has the extra added benefit of like not caring. He's like so apathetic towards his family. He's that guy. He's a no touchy feely guy. He hates hugs. He hates the mushy stuff. He's just like, let's just get straight to business, deal with the situation, and get done with it. But you can tell deep down he really does love his family. And of course we have Mikey, the youngest brother, the goofball. We all know Mikey. He's the jokester of the group, and he's obviously the one everyone has to protect because he's the child of the family. So yeah, the characters, I can't really complain about them. They're just basically the same as I always knew them as. April is obviously the reporter who is smart. She's really smart when she needs to be. And I would say in this movie especially, and I feel like from the series she does a lot more, at least a lot more than the other Aprils from the other shows and movies in the past. I think this might be my favorite April, especially considering she is in the action a lot of the time. Splinter, it is gonna take me a bit of getting used to him. I know he was designed to be the lazy kind of bad dad in the series who does grow to like be more active and caring for his sons. But I would be lying if I said I didn't prefer the old wise sage mentor of Splinter. That's the Splinter I'm more familiar with and the one I enjoy more. The one here, he's not bad, but I just feel like we have way too many jokesters on this team, and really we could have used a more grounded guy. So I feel like Splinter, not bad, but could have definitely used just a tiny bit of improving. Overall, guys, I love this movie to death. It is one of my favorite movies of all time now. I'm really considering giving it a 10, I think. Just for the bit of cliches it has, it's kind of holding it back a bit. But then again, I've given lesser movies a 10. So I'm going to give this movie a 10 out of 10. Go watch this movie, guys. Go watch Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You don't even need to watch the series. You don't need to be a fan of the series. This movie is also meant for the newer audiences who know nothing of the series. Yeah, there are references to the series that the fans would absolutely love, but it's nothing that derails the story. You will follow this movie very easily. So go watch Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Best movie of the year so far. I absolutely love it to death. It's great. Nickelodeon, make more stuff like this. And now that you're back in partnership with Netflix, where's my Glitch Tech Season 3? Please, we all need that in our lives. But for now, guys, this movie gets a 10 out of 10. Go check it out. I love it. If you're a Turtles fan, you will definitely love it. If you're not a Turtles fan, you'll have a fun time with a movie. This movie is just great. And also, I will say, something unexpected I didn't get from this movie is that this movie has just a bit of added violence in it, in that I would say it's slightly more edgy. Like, I swear, like Leo says two swear words in this movie, which came like completely out of left field, but it didn't like harm the movie. And I don't hear any parents complaining, oh, what about the children? So that's pretty cool. And I do think we got a few, I think we got like one scene with blood in it. One or two scenes with blood in it. So you know what? Extra points for going that extra mile for the violence, just to show how real the action is. Guys, I love this movie. It's just a really great movie. Go watch it. What are you doing watching this video? Go watch it. Go watch it now. Go watch it now. Anyways, yeah. So anyways, guys, thank you so very much for watching. This has been my review of Rise of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I definitely see it being on my top 10 animated films of the year in December. Sorry about the Pixar video again. I will definitely see if I can do that this coming week or something. It's been heartbreaking, I'll tell you that. And my throat needs time to heal. So, yeah. Anyways, guys, that's going to be all from me today. Go check out this movie. Be sure to like if you like, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell to be part of the team. And with that, I will see you in another universe. And of course, check out the, what's his name? The Wicked Binge. Again, link to his video in the description down below.